Alright guys, hello and welcome back. It's time for a quarterfinal matchup. This one is going to be Crusaders up against Lunatik Esports. This game, now last one was crazy, off the wall, insane, and that was first seed against 18th seed. And it was just brilliant. Bloody brilliant.
And you know what it was? It was Fierno throwing himself out there and going big, looking for that MVP of the Week award. But now, can the guys on our screen, right here in front of us, Crusaders and Lunatik Esports, are these guys going to be able to better that? Can Fatal pull out some huge Apollo play? I saw him do it earlier in my day, yesterday for you guys in the States side of things, and in Europe as well. Spectre went a little bit big as well. There are some big names on both of these rosters that can pull anything out of a hat at any time they want. Jordan, give us the lowdown.
Hey, you're talking about these odd picks coming out for these teams. Ares Cabrakan getting banned out by teams might be kind of off. By Lunatik Esports. They're switched. The Spectre DOI likes to throw casters for a loop nonstop. Neith gets locked in first pick. Mir Circuit is also banned out. It's on the screen. I don't need to actually read all this stuff and cover it all. Neith, that goddess. The Weaver of Fate, if you will, who can kind of go where she pleases. Mid lane, solo lane, AD carry, she does not care. On the other side, another goddess who can go wherever she pleases, getting locked in the Athena, as well as Bellona locked in as well. So jungle, solo lane for her. Athena, another one of these gods, mid lane support, jungle, solo lane. Nobody knows where anyone is going at this point in time, even though you might be able to speculate and kind of figure out where they most likely will be getting placed.
Man, this is the flex pick of flex pick matchups. You pick Neith into Bellona Athena. Bellona Athena can run the Bellona Hunter, solo, and in the jungle. Athena, jungle, or in the duo, obviously.
Okay, I'm liking this right now.
Ullr doesn't confirm anything either.
Yeah, Ullr's going to be the final pick for a counter-banning phase. Thor, Sylvanus getting locked in though. Sylvanus just about always played support. There's some speculation first release. He could maybe be a solo laner, but that never really came to fruition. So it's going to be support Sylvanus, more like not jungle Thor. He just has too many mana problems to really be run anywhere else at this point in time. Ullr locked in. He can go at solo lane. He can potentially go mid lane. He can go in that regular old standard, typical, normal, if you will, AD carry role. The way the teams are lining up right now, Ullr did receive a slight buff recently. His switch stances now removes disarm, which, well, Bellona was already picked up by the same team, so that really won't come into play all that much this particular matchup, but something to note, it's a new feature. Gandhi thought it did that in the SPL, and everyone just kind of said, like, huh, why doesn't it do that? You know, oh, you disarmed, you threw my bow out of my hands? Well, I have these axes at my belt, why don't I just pull those out and, like, slice you apart with those instead? Everyone just kind of said, like, huh. Yeah, why doesn't that work that way? And alas, it became a thing. Well, now we'll remove disarm when he switches weapons, so that's kind of nifty for him. Won't be seeing that come into play this game, though.
ISIS is going to be banned away from the guys in Roulette as well, so they're looking to make sure that, you know, not a strong mid laner can come through. Poseidon was locked in. I mean, you mentioned it. Ullr can run mid, but Ullr mid's not really a thing. It's a really, really iffy matchup. It's not something that you would run very often into very, very many comps at all, but double Hunter is going to be the call.
Let's see that one
from both sides.
Yeah, Medusa as they swap around because I got a little bit behind in that one. Sobek going to be locked in as well. Double Guardian coming out for Lunatik Esports. Crusaders' final lock into the game is going to be that Apollo. I like that Apollo has kind of seen a resurgence. He got kind of not even really slapped hard by the season. You know, if you just like Hercules took that boulder, just raised above his head, and just slammed on the head of Apollo, and Apollo just got like slammed into the ground 5 feet. And he's standing there, it's like, guys, help me out of this hole, please. I'm stuck. I can't move my arms and legs. Help me, anybody, please. He managed to work his way out finally, and people realized that, you know, he lacks early game wave clear, but so do a couple of the other hunters still. So it's not like he's off the board completely, and there's nothing else really in the game for a hunter, at least, like that across the sky. It's like, oh, you can split push like crazy, burn through those towers quickly, and then join a fight that you technically were not there for initially. It's so brilliant, it's so powerful. We saw it used decently last game. So we'll see. Lunatik Esports, Crusaders in this one. It's,
the other thing to point out as well is that Apollo ultimately across the skies when he comes down, that does a lot of damage. And if he only moves a short distance, it's very mana efficient as well.
That's true. That's another one big issue. Sometimes you see people like going sightseeing. It's like, I'm gonna do donuts in the sky, and mana bar is like draining. It's like, oh, I can't do anything now that I landed. I'm exhausted, guys. I want to go back to base, where all the lovely mana comes from that fountain. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. It's gonna be a double hunter composition for Lunatik Esports, COG Crusaders, or Lunatik double hunters, double guardians for one of these teams. I don't know which team has double guardians at this point. I'm not looking at the screen. Many hunters, many guardians are gonna be the story of this one. Take us away, Rank.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find out how this double hunter game ends up, you're going to be finding out right after this. You're right here on Smite Game 2 with your Summer Challenger Cup for NA, week number 4.
Alright guys, hello and welcome back. Lunatik Esports facing off against COG Crusaders in this quarterfinal matchup. I'm Zidon here once again with Ranconius, who thus far today has not had too many issues with the local flora or fauna, although we covered this earlier. The flora, not really too much of a concern for you guys, apparently. But
although if we get another game like that last one and my casting had to go off, I might have problems with an angry fiance. It is 3 a.m. I personally wouldn't blame her.
Smite is life. Yes, as an Australian, you have to be, keep your strength up to deal with the animals when you try and go about your normal everyday life. But it's Smite. Who needs sleep in this Smite? I see the Australians watching in chat like, Ranconius, oh my god! OCE rules! It's like, or just some strange Americans who like, yeah, OCE rules, I want to go to Australia, I like kangaroos and koalas, not realizing they're very, very deadly creatures who will kill you at a moment's notice because you looked at them funny.
Right. Okay, all that aside, this is the battleground of the gods. Like,
indeed.
Aussies, we like our flora and fauna wild. We like them dangerous. We like them poisonous. But we're gonna have a late invade on the right-hand side of the map, and too many apples is. Yeah, this is a lot committed to this. And on the left-hand side, Collateral and Xenotronics took the back camp, didn't drop the red buff camp, so they're still gonna look to donate that one over, and they're gonna steal the buff away.
Worth noting as well, just want to touch on this now before I forget, Ninja Sniper in chat mentioned that COG Crusaders and Lunatik Esports have scrimmed previously, and that COG Crusaders have apparently never lost a scrim up against Lunatik Esports. Now, scrims in real games, completely different things, as we've seen in the past many, many times talk about SBL teams, like, oh, yeah, these scrim partners do really, really well against each other, and it's like, it looks like a, casual queue stomping. So just because you do well in scrims, in an actual tournament play setting, they always keep that little extra something in reserve you don't pull out during scrims this sorry, just so when you're up against your scrim partner, you have something else to throw their way that they won't be seeing coming. We'll see if that'll be the case this game.
Curveballs in softball, not really an Australian thing, not really a huge Australian pastime, but in this one, I'm gonna have to get up to speed with all of those curveballs, all the fastballs, all the balls are gonna be spinning left, right, and center. Whether COG Crusaders, Lunatik Esports have played this specific comp, this specific matchup up against each other before, don't really know, but all I do know is that Zudru is gonna have to be extremely careful with his mana bar. He didn't get a mana buff. He's going to be a long way behind. Spectre's just got a reset on that one of his, so he's going to have so much wave clear on the right-hand side of this map.
This will work brilliantly as well. Sobek, he works decently well, but like I said, without that mana buff, he's going to have a rough time clearing early on. There's going to be a pretty strong bleed of gold from that solo lane. He can tank it up quite a bit. He has the Mark of the Vanguard. He's not going to worry too much about any little incidental poke, as we rearrange a couple guys on the bottom of the scoreboard, because, why would they be in the correct spot? Production, please. Probably Hindu's fault again somehow, I'm not entirely sure. He's hiding. He's pretending he's not here. It's his fault. He's
pretending he's casting SPL. He's pretending, man.
There was something about a 1v1, him and Funballer. I was going to say, I'm not going to. Actually, off topic. Talking about the game right now, I want to touch on something.
I would like to see Hindu versus DM Brandon.
I don't know. The last time we saw DM Brandon in like a proper casted game, he was dead for like 3/4 of the match. So, I don't know. I don't know. But it was a rough one.
My community, call out DM Brandon and tell him that he has to beat Hindu Man to earn his spot on the SPL broadcast team back.
That would be crazy. It's gonna edge him out. It's like 1v1 for that seat. Who gets it? We'll have to find out. The victor. Pretty interesting. That's to say the least.
And the loser has to cast from the floor. I mean, he might still be able to stay on the SPL, but he has to cast standing up or from the floor, right? Punishments.
Interesting. That said, we're about the 3-minute mark of this game. It's Lunatik Esports, COG Crusaders in the quarterfinals of week 4 of the North American Challenger Cup. Again, not really going to see much fighting over these mid-harpies. They have baby gold furies, so it's sort of the same thing. Right side, Spectre has started those up, but 3 members of Lunatik are nearby, but they're going to collapse in on this. Could be first blood drawn right here.
Man, Dawn's going to go up for Caden. He's going to look for whatever he can find. Puka Bear gets knocked up. That was a perfect ultimate coming through from the Sylvanus, and now they're going to re-engage. Spectre was forced to ult over as well. There's been a couple of kills picked up already. Lunatik Esports, the benefactor of one of those now. Crusaders is going to take one for Spectre in response to get the pluck. It's over on towards Spectre. Can Jeremy find anything from the mid lane of Lunatic? They're going to find another Spirit Arrow, and the boxing is starting to come out. Look at all the snares they've got. Jeremy, he's got it locked up. He's got it on lock, and that's going to be 2 kills in his pocket. That's a Heartseeker already.
Those guys were not doing much damage. Apollo was running away from that for about 10 seconds. That entire time, he got maybe 2 steps further between the root, the other root, the grab, the Spirit Arrow. He got nowhere fast.
And the slow. Neith has
And the slow. And the slow. I think he was dead at that point, though. It's like, by the time the slow came out, he was already done. It's like, I give up. I'm just not even going to try anymore. Who am I kidding? I'm not going where. I try to go someplace you guys are going to throw something else at me. It's like, oh, you didn't use the World Weaver yet. And look, that's killed me off anyway, so why bother running? Yeah, granted, you can maybe bait out the World Weaver.
Actually, that's a very good point. The World Weaver wasn't even burned.
Yeah.
It wasn't even burned. They still could have looked for secure if they did run away. Jeremy's mana bar wasn't even all that low either.
No.
He totally had the mana bar for it. If they get some ward coverage down, though, from Crusaders, they could look to take either this Gold Fury, some invades for camps. They're just going to play this one by ear. They're going to at least steal away this attack speed buff, and Xenotronix picks himself that one. But Salt, he wants the re-engage? Nope, he's just going to land some ward control.
Yeah, so Lunatic Esports, with those 2 kills on the board, were able to kind of answer back that first blood, keep things just a little bit near even. They're not letting Crusaders run away with this one. Small time. Basically a mid-Harpy camp or 2 worth of golden experience lead right now for Crusaders or Lunatic Esports. Sometimes reading graphs is hard because it involves math or something, and who likes math? Math can be fun, but let's face it, it's math, and it's hard. It's like words and other things.
We've proved over the last couple weeks that you can't math right.
Yeah.
Important note for these 2 teams, though. Lunatic and Crusaders, they're tied on points in that 4th and 5th spot. There are 8 teams going in, but those 4th and 5th spots are going to decide which brackets that they're going to be going in, right? Lunatic Esports, Crusaders, they're going to one-up each other this week. This match decides who goes ahead this week around, and there's only one more leak. One more leak? Man, they've only got one more vegetable to decide who's going ahead next week, so you better eat up your vegetables, Xenotronix. Your team needs you, buddy.
I don't know, it could be a small little leak. If it was like a cave or a dam starts breaking that little trickle of water initially, and then suddenly it just bursts open. Like some water starts spouting up out of the ground, more like a geyser, and then suddenly like this giant octopus kraken thing springs out of the ground, and that one little initial drip of water seeping out of the ground is all it takes for that giant monster to just come up and kill somebody and eat them alive. So it's something to watch out for. You don't want those bleeds to get going, those little leaks to start. So taking a look at the game as we're approaching just past the 6-minute mark right now. Second set of Harpies. It looks like once again Crusaders want to secure both sides for themselves. Thor's going to go up in the air. Lunatic do not want to let these go for free.
And Zudra's in position this time as well. He's going to drop his hog down. They're looking for collateral. They get the stun. The Kraken is down at least. It's going to hit 3-man with the Whirlpool, but they're at least going to find on towards the one. Collateral's going to pay for it with his life, but now the payback is Caden that's already gone down. What else can they find? Jeremy is the one ahead. He's the one to watch. If he lands those in hands, it's going to do so much damage, but the disengage comes out. It's going to be the 1-for-1. And well, we're looking like that last couple games where we saw both teams go 1-for-1 for so long before we started to see a one-sided bit of a fight come through.
World Weaver being thought about there by Jeremy, possibly helping out Zidru over in that right-hand lane, but let's face it, Sobek onto Apollo. All he has to do is hit his 4 button, and he will just, a chariot appears out of nowhere, takes him off into the sunset, where he is just laughing all the way home, where he will heal up and return back to lane a little bit better than he was just previously. That was a nice pick, though, coming from Crusaders. They were able to answer back that kill onto their support. Unfortunately, the support was brought down, but they were not able to actually capitalize on it. Sylvanus did have the Wrath of the Gods. I think that was what the idea behind the set was. Typically, the support early on, they're an easy target to burst down because they're not really buying any sort of early defensive items, but you bring them down, Hand of the Gods off the table, Wrath of the Gods potentially not on the table, you can then look for a Gold Fury. It just didn't work out that way this time. She also had the Defender of Olympus, so with that available, if she bought Wrath of the Gods, she'd be back and available for that Gold Fury there in just a second, as Fatal found a way to make some noise as he returns back to lane, apparently.
Important combo, though, coming through from the 2 Hunters on the side of Lunatic Esports. They've got the World Weaver, and they've also got the Petrified. They've got the big CC ultimates that can come out from any of the Hunters, right? The only other one, it's got to be Darkest of Nights. But even that, it's not a confirmed CC, right? Fatal's at least going to get a slowdown.
Darkest of Nights. There's no Xbalanque in this game, by the way.
I know, I was just talking about Hunters. Xbalanque was banned out, remember?
Yes.
Hunter
I see
Ultimates?
him over there, left-hand side of the screen, center with the bands. I got confused for a second. Like the math, sometimes words and actually listening to my co-caster can be quite difficult. They do have a lot of confirmed crowd control, however.
Yeah, this crowd control from... Yeah, I mean, why not just watch a sexy game on this? Don't mute us. Don't do it. No.
We're gone already. It's done. It's over with. They love seeing that Gulfrey brought down. Ref Terror coming out left-hand side. Collateral very, very low. Defender Olympus channeling on to Puka Bear. Will get channeled on through, but will he survive this ensuing engagement? Jeremy and Salt looking for the kills and the fight.
Yeah, but of course, when you channel that Defender of Olympus and it goes in as far as it does, now Spectre's up in, he's going to try and join this fight, forced to use the ultimate, not for any source of damage, and that's going to be trouble. Jeremy's going to look for the lockdown on towards too many apples, not enough in-hands to pick him off, and it was too many apples that he tried to pick off that time around. Spectre doesn't get plucked away. He's got the Serenade, I think that was, to keep him... Or was it beads? It was beads. You saw the beads. There you go.
So, yeah,
there you go.
That was a decent fight. Lunatik Esports were able to answer back, but the Gold Fury went down for COD Crusaders. That's a nice 1,500 gold pickup. You look at that graph. Experience shot up just a little bit for Lunatik. COD Crusaders, though, about 1,000 gold in the lead. It's a couple extra wards, split across a couple people, maybe an active or two here and there for those guys. But nothing really to run away with quite yet. They have a little bit of a kill deficit in that experience, that small experience lead. Looking, opposition to opposition. It's really the supports that are telling the story right now. COD Crusaders, Collateral sitting 2 levels behind Salt right now. That's really the only big level difference coming out so far. But it is a little bit of an issue, a little bit behind on gold as well. Currently almost 600 or so gold down. That means Sovereignty is going to be a little bit further off completed, which means Lunatik Esports, Salt can go up front. A team fight has that extra chunk of health, that extra chunk of protections, plus that aura for his team. They're going to really kind of give them a big step up in the next fight.
Yeah, what's COD Crusaders look to just back up and wait for that one to come online, even though they've got the Poseidon in towards Jeremy's Neith. They've got a little bit more kill burst pressure. Jeremy's damage does take time to really ramp up over the course and duration of a fight. But when they've got a Sovereignty online, it kind of just negates that a bit. So COD Crusaders are going to play it just a little bit more passively, but that's okay. That gives them bonus time for Spectre to farm up. Neith doesn't have a steroid. No. Spectre, on Apollo, he does. Wrath of Terror forced down the left-hand side.
Yep, just going to be a defensive one. He'll be alright otherwise. It is worth noting Jeremy on that Neith does have an attack speed slow, so it's not just a straight up, I'm in a boxing match, I lose flat out because I don't have a steroid. She also has a heal as well in her kit, which, none of the other hunters actually have available to themselves. There's some trade-offs. She's a little bit more utility-based. It's not so because she's not a hyper character, she doesn't have a steroid. She can slow some people down, but at the same time, yeah, she's definitely, I'd say, lower tier in that she's more of a utility-based hunter. Same thing with the Medusa to an extent
Right-hand side, the Anvil of Dawn went down. They were looking for to the knock at the double tap from Caden down and Zudru. Unfortunately, that's Spectre live and they burn the ultimate from the Thor, so that's a little bit of map pressure that's just been burned through. And Zudru, he's got no Lurking in the Waters available either. That had been used a little bit more previously, so that'll be up just a little bit. He might have used it towards the beginning of that fight as well. Not entirely sure what happened over there over the course of that entire team fight. Interesting though, double hunter composition talking about Zidru, picking up an early hide of the Nemean Lion. I was actually killed by it the other day in a game, and it's like, what the hell just happened? I just got killed enough. It's like, took me, like, looking at the death screen. It's like, what? How? It was an Athena. She's running away. She's not even looking at me. I died. What just happened? Like, death screen. Only thing on the chart is 70 damage from a hide of Nemean Lion. I'm just like, are you kidding me? I killed her. She killed me back with it. It's like, give me a break. Stupid item. Press tab.
Who has time for that?
Press tab.
Who has time for that?
Press tab.
Who has time for that? It's not shielding on the world. There's no lovely little aura effect around the god saying it's active. So it's like, oh, I just want to attack them for a moment. It's like, aha, I got you. You thought you had me, and suddenly I kill myself and kill you. So it's like, I got you, but the humiliation kill was in your favor. I'm saying it's like, no, no. That wasn't
Check
nice.
out Zudru on this solo lane as well. I mean, there's no way that Spectre can continue a boxing match anymore with him. You mentioned it. Hide of the Nemean Lion on, but also Mark of the Vanguard. So, you know, a lot of resistance is coming through for him. But left-hand side, there's going to be a fight going down, or is it? Fatal did get torn up. They're going to get the stun down on Corral. They got it. The Berserker Barrage doing a fair amount of damage. Salt the blink forward, looking for that ultimate, try and lock somebody up. It was Puka Bear, but the ultimate from Thor. Caden slams down. He's going to pick himself up one. Spectre's rotating over. He's looking for Caden. Can he find any form of CC with that Serenade? It's going to be a no thank you, ma'am. And now they're forced to rotate their hunters in just a little bit late. Kraken's on the ground, though.
That damage to the wall is going to buy himself some time. Puka Bear finds the kill on Caden. Worldweaver connects from downtown, looking to turn this one back around. Looks like got the tier 1 tower, but they lost the jungler in the process. A couple members of Crusaders, Poseidon still in the background. Too many apples, more than happy to just throw those abilities over the wall without really putting himself in much danger. But the tier 2 is falling gradually. Can they lock these guys down? The taunt will not find Fatal. Sidru more than happy to tank it up. That's another 1,500 gold in the bank, plus an Athena kill on the board as well.
Yeah, they plucked that one out of thin air, and they're gonna grab a right-hand side mid-hoppy camp. This is perfect timing for Lunatik Esports. They're gonna start a little bit of a snowball. Their hunters don't have the biggest steroids, so they need to get online a little bit earlier than Spectre and his friend in Xenotronics need to, because they've got the late game scaling, they've got the later game hunters, but Petrify, that can, a Petrify Worldweaver combo can turn it around in an instant.
Yeah, Puka Bear right now trying to get in range to steal that one potentially, but it will be brought down beforehand. Spectre in the backside of the fight falls to Jeremy. He did a good job zoning out over the duration of that Gold Fury fight. So that will be 1-for-1 as far as Gold Fury is concerned. Lunatic Esports with those tier 2 tower, or with both towers in mid lane already brought down. Gold just
swing.
Shot up big time. It wasn't really in favor of Crusaders to begin with. It was a slow little back, kind of stabilized to be fair. But with those towers, with that Gold Fury, Crusaders are finding themselves now at a full deficit both in experience and gold.
You know what I like to call this sort of build-up towards mid-game and some big power and item spikes coming through from Lunatic Esports? I like to call this the stairs for victory. Why? It's built up in multiple phases, mid-harpy camps, tower, Gold Fury, Fire Giant, back to another tower, back to a Phoenix. It's step, step, step. That's what they need to keep piling up. They've got 2 steps already down on towards that one. They're on kind of a tilting down stair at the moment, so they need to find something. Where's their next objective? What do they think laterally? Well, they got 2 towers in the mid lane. You know what that does? That exposes the left and the right hand tier 1 towers. That's 2 more steps on that rung. Man, they'll be climbing that ladder anytime now. And Thor, he's taken to the sky.
He's looking for an Ullr over in this left-hand lane. He's going to get the Defender Olympus brought out, so ultimate for ultimate in that engagement. Glorybound, though, Xenotronics able to leap away pretty easily from that one, let's be fair. But, you know, Anvil Dawn is a great initiation tool. It's a semi-global. Defender Olympus is a full-on global. She can go wherever she pleases as long as an ally is nearby. So it's like looking at the 2 next to each other. That's a tiny, tiny victory there for Lunatic Esports, taking the Defender Olympus off the table.
Tiny victory, but when she just got out of her Xenotronics, totally out safe, then, you know, she's able to join and look to turn something around. That's more pressure. Thor brings CC with his ultimate. There's only damage from an Athena ultimate. So when you're trading those ultimates out, you've got to remember that could be a potential engage combo, that could potentially be a burst combo. Caden, he's looking to assassinate somebody, and that one's off the table for a little while longer.
Rotation coming out right from Lunatic Esports, trying to catch somebody on the right, left-hand side of this map. Sometimes directions are hard, like that math. We'll see if they can find somebody. Salt does, in fact, have Blink available. He can go for it, but both those guys do have leaps to escape any possible engagement. They're looking for Xenotronics, perhaps. As Thor is up in the air, he's going to drop down, try and find Salt, but, you know, he was walking away, and he just ended up missing. Sometimes you can't find the enemy, you may as well alter your ally.
He was just like, yo, bro, do you need any minions cleared right in front of you?
You know, Christmas,
Nope?
Sylvanus,
Okay.
you got any candy hidden in those branches? And maybe get a little candy bar, Hershey Kisses, and maybe some little goodies. Christmas cookies, maybe, perhaps? No? That's hell. Hell's on about the cookies. Cookies.
He was feeling hungry. He was looking for a Snickers. He wasn't himself without that Snickers.
That hammer's heavy. It's throwing that around like he does, and then pulling it back with like magical godlike force powers and stuff like that. It takes a lot out of you. Sometimes you just need a couple cookies mid-game to keep you going. So, yeah. Mid lane, looking for a little poke. Collateral has that sovereignty online. Not going to take too much of a physical poke like that anymore. Even with the double tap doesn't hit. Whatever.
You know how Thor's ultimate works? He throws
Vaguely.
the hammer and he doesn't let go.
Yeah, actually, yeah. How does he get up initially? How does he hover in midair, though? He kind of just spins it very quickly.
He continues trying to throw it. Yeah, he continues trying to throw it without letting go, and then when he slams back down, same again.
He does spin it. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the animation. He's up there swinging in his hand, I believe. And he finally stops.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm thinking about it through. It's like, yeah, that is in fact how it works. somebody doing their little god mechanic investigating there, being on top of things. Small siege starting up on this right lane right now. Lunatik Esports really not going to be able to push too quickly into this one. Left-hand side is a little bit of a back and forth. Two hunters versus the hunter and support. Neither one's really going to walk into each other. Neith currently sitting on a ward, so they know full well that she's over there. So no little, like, surprise possibility coming out for Jeremy.
Doesn't really need to be over here, though. He could be doing something else. He could be putting pressure down the mid. Well, mid lane's not really a safe lane to pressure at the moment because it's, you know, so deep in and they picked up 2 towers already. But he could be putting pressure here with Zidru. They could be looking right side. They could be putting... I mean, not killing this tower right now, but certainly setting it up for maybe 3-4 minutes time and a few more minion waves have smacked into it. That's prepping. That's going, hey, okay, Fire Giant's up. We need to get some pressure down on this right-hand side of the map so that it's a little bit safer for us to take this one. We need to prep that tower. It's going to take us 5 minutes to take it. We're going to just walk up with 1 minion wave right now because our mid lane's shoved in. Right now, look at this. It's shoved in. There's no real camps on the map. The left-hand side's, I mean, it's just about to spawn, but then they can take that, run to the right-hand side of the map, put some pressure down. They can go in and beef on that tower because Jeremy, he's so big at this point in time. That's something to plan. That's how you play Smite. That's how you play a macro game.
You mentioned earlier that whole steps to victory idea and how they're playing this game right now. One of those steps did just respawn. Gold Fury respawning, counter warding going on right now. This is going to be Lunatik Esports' next point of pressure, more likely than not. They have to keep in mind that Spectre has that Apollo. He can freely split push that right lane, which is exactly what he's doing right now. There is nobody there to stop him. That's going to be a tier 1 for nothing on the board for Crusaders. Every little bit helps, and he could potentially save that tier 1. You see the pings coming out already. They want to make sure he's not going to continue split pushing. They're going to at least suspect for the moment he's not there because you can see the minion waves have met and there's no Spectre to be found. But he's just picking up a buff. He could very well just head straight back to that lane. Thor is really the only one who can look to respond to him and actually join up this team fight in any way, shape, or form. Any other hunter heads over there. Neith, yeah, you can throw a World Weaver over, but it's not actually being properly contributing to the fight after that initial World Weaver.
And Jeremy's 5-1-3 at the same time, right? If he leaves and goes over there to handle it, yeah, with the World Weaver, that's a lot of the damage going from Lunatik Esports. But this Gold Fury, it's gone.
Yep, Collateral going to be caught out on that one. The steal attempt not successful. Too many apples. Going to look possibly to find somebody, but Caden trying to find too many apples. Not able to do so. Going to go for the kill nevertheless. In the middle of it, Kraken connects for a whole chunk of damage as reinforcements finally arrive. Too many apples does fall. Caden able to survive that big burst of damage from that Poseidon.
But right-hand side, it's going to be Spectre. He's taken one, and he's looking at that Phoenix. They've got to be careful with how far they aggress. They're looking for the Bellona in the mid lane. She's got the Eagles rally to get the heck out of there. And now Spectre, he's taking a tower. He's still going to rejoin this fight. So it's almost an even trade at this point in time. Who's he going to look for? It's going to be Zidru and Salt. They haven't got a huge amount of damage, so they've got to be really careful. But they find the block on a Spectre.
Serenade, plus some moves, gonna get him out safely. Left side, tier 1 was taken by Fatal, looking to box back and forth with Xenotronics. Glory Bound available, Defender of Olympus getting channeled up as well. He is gonna be free and clear from that one. As Athena arrives to this party, could they potentially look for a chase here? They certainly could, but for now, they're not gonna be able to find it, and they're not gonna give chase after all. Instead, looking to possibly salvage any of the jungle they possibly could find. There's a damage buff sitting there. But it unfortunately, actually that was picked up by those guys. Collateral going to pick that up before it disappears.
This could be an FG. If they had better ward control, they would go for an FG right now if you're Lunatik Esports. If they knew that there was no wards on that Fire Giant pit, it's 21 minutes in the game. Jeremy, we mentioned it, 5-6-0-3. He's even bigger now. He's got an Executioner, Assy, and the Heartseeker online. He's got the sustain he needs. He's got the damage he needs. He can rip through that one with just him and Caden. That's all they really need. But lack of a sentry ward on that one. Man, they just missed a big opportunity, a big window to take something on that right-hand side.
Lunatik Esports, though, could definitely look to start grouping up and force a fight over this Fire Giant here in the next couple of minutes. The Gold Fury is down. And look at the team fight comps overall. You don't want to see Crusaders get properly online. Neither team really has any late-game hyper carries. Ullr and Apollo are going to be a little bit better off as far as late-game hyper carry damage goes compared to a Neith Medusa. Medusa's a little bit more of an enigma as far as, you know, is she a caster AD carry hunter, or is she more just an auto-attack based one? It's kind of a back-and-forth type question, but she's going to have a lot of crowd control, a lot of utility, a lot of overall AoE damage for that acid spray going all over the place, so it'll be interesting.
Looking in the water is absolutely gone now for Zidru, so that one's on cooldown left-hand side of the map. This is where they've just rotated Spectre around. This is just perfect map management coming in from COG Crusaders. They know where Spectre needs to be, and he's comfortable on this Apollo, doing what he's already done so far, and he can definitely box out this fatal Medusa. Medusa has to land the absolute perfect Petrify, but the speed's online.
The positioning from Lunatik Esports right now is spot on. They have the both the Guardians kind of keeping the Fire Giant safe. They're keeping vision on the Fire Giant. Neith and Thor are both farming up the side lanes. They're not in a position for Crusaders to find them and start a fight up. If either of those guys start grouping up close to the Fire Giant, they'll look for exactly that. One taunt lands, that will signify the start of the fight. Spectre will immediately use Across the Skies to join the fight. And Fatal will be left like, well, I really can't do much else on the side of the map. I can't take that tier 2 tower. They need me for this team fight. I have to walk all the way across the map, and it takes a good while for that to occur. Meanwhile, Apollo, just straight line, I go where I want. I have a chariot of fire blazing through the skies to join my team and cause all sorts of crazy havoc after I've landed. The Fire Giant...
100%. Yeah, sorry, keep going.
So the Fire Giant, so far, right now at least, it looks like the brakes have kind of been put on that plan, and we'll see if they look to group back up and keep that dance going, because Lunatik Esports, they've been looking for these objectives, and that's really the only thing left staying on the map right now they could seriously look to take. Tier 1 tower, give it 500 gold, but, you know, is it worth grouping and fighting for that at this point in the game? You lose
Gold
that
Fury.
Fight, it's Fire Giant. That's like a minute out
Gold
still.
Fury's only a minute away, so that's probably going to be our next point of contention. Just at this point in time, you mentioned it's a Drew, yeah, not tanky enough. Salt, not tanky enough. They've got at least the sustain in those two. There's a lot less sustain when you look at it on the side of the opposition. Lurking in the waters, the charge spray's been burned. They're looking for too many apples, but I don't think they can really fight this one. Kaden did burn the ultimate, so there's two gone from the side of Lunatik Esports. They need to bail, and they know they need to bail.
As one of these things, I'd love to have a little picture-in-picture to keep an eye on exactly what those hunters in left lane are doing. Spectre is going to look to fly across the map as soon as they look for the fight. Two ultimates are down right now, like you said. The Lurking in the Waters, the Anvil of Dawn from Thor. Crusaders have a window right now. If Collateral can find a good taunt to set up this fight, they'll look for it. They'll commit to it. The problem is, look at who has been in position the last couple minutes for actually to initiate on. Zidru. Do you really want to start a fight on the Crocodile who's going to pluck somebody back into his own team? No. Just flat out no. There's no really debate about that one. You don't want the Crocodile to be the first one you initiate on, because Athena will then find herself in the backline with all her abilities on cooldown.
I'm sad it's not the Crocodile. I love the Crocodile skin. Drew, man, that's a pirate skin. I mean, we are considered convicts, if you will. If you chat to Hindu man about it, we're officially the convicts. Ugh. Nothing we can do about that one, but I still would have preferred to see the Crocodile from Zidru. Man, missed opportunity. Missed opportunity.
Some spam pings coming out. They know they have no vision. They're very concerned. Crusaders try and sneak in that one. If I watched that last game, you know, or even heard about that last game, it'd definitely be something on the back of my mind if I was playing this one right now. Team just kind of stole a game out from the top, you know, 18th seed team stole a Fire Giant from the top seed team in this tournament.
They got the Sentry Ward down.
So
they know that they've got the vision controls. Xenotronics is over here. Across the Skies is coming in, though. They've baited the Apollo over, but now he's going to slam down. They're looking for Jeremy. Can they find in the moves? The Serenade, can they do it? No, they're not quite able to, and I don't think they've got the damage to be able to burn through anyone else. Spectre's in trouble. Zidru was on his face, but now Puka Bear's there at least to save him. Now on the backhand side, it's going to be Xenotronics able to finally find some space and pick up Salt. Jeremy's not in a position where he can really join this one, and Fatal, for the first time, has made his way over.
And that was a very, very messy fight so far. It's still going on Fatal very far forward, going to last right away to safety, but they're still going to give chase, turn back around and look to focus somebody else down at this point in time. Caden low, you see Fatal in the backline, not really able to go back in this one. Disengage finally comes out, but this was a really, really messy fight. Spectre landed. I believe he had mana because he was using abilities afterwards. It wasn't just a case of I ran out of mana mid-flight and had to land right there. He was out of position when he arrived at that fight. He was forced out by Zidru, who, speaking of which, will get caught by a taunt and picked up by all the abilities raining in from Crusaders. That's going to be a tier 1 tower picked up for those guys. They finally found a little bit of initiation opportunity. And like I said, it was a bit of a messy fight for Crusaders. That was not a clean victory for them.
Watch Spectre play delay.
Anybody, but...
Watch Spectre play delay here. He's going to be totally crucial because Puka Bear needs the base. Too many apples needs the base. Collateral needs the base. There are so many health bars that are ticking into the negatives on this side of Crusaders. They needed to buy a window. Spectre is on delay mode right now. And they bought the window they need. Too many apples is going to be the last one leaving the base, and he's already in range. They could contest this Fire Giant. There's no way that Lunatik could burst through it.
I just want to point out that just because you got random down to second seed because you were tied for first doesn't make you the second seed team. It's random seeding for the brackets from the same position, so technically they're first seed. They're tied for first, nevertheless. I see a Nanton there sitting in chat, just clarifying things here. don't want to tell the first seed team that you're not the first seed team when you're tied for the first seed, because then the second seed team will then get angry and have to beat you and, you know, show you where, you know, that they are in fact the first seed team. So you don't want to set yourself up for a loss later on in the bracket. That's my advice. Don't taunt the team you're tied with by telling them they're second seed. You make that call, it's like, we're first seed. We know it. And then you lose, it's a little embarrassing.
They're gonna throw down. That's what I'm seeing. They want to throw down, but it's going to be Caden that's trying to throw down the hammer right now. It was on to Spectre. They got the snare, but there's at least beads, and there's a sprint online for Spectre. The World Weaver blocked out by Collateral. That was perfect, but the block is now on towards him. Do they have the DPS to burn through him? Caden is going to find the hammer slam on towards Spectre, and they're still looking for more. Jeremy's going to zone away too many apples, and that's a problem. Eagles rallies in the middle of this fight, trying to do whatever he can as Puka Bear, but they're going to be forced to run away. The Spirit Arrow, the block, they're locking whoever they want down right now, and it's going to be Puka Bear. Down goes the Wrath of Terror. Finally, they find a kill. It's going to be 2 in the pocket, and it's going to be 2 in the favor of Lunatik Esports. And if they can pick up a Fire Giant, put that in their pocket as well, that's a lead that is going to be a struggle to come back from.
Big part of that, probably the biggest part, look at the damage chart. Xenotronics' top damage of his team by a decent little bit. He was not there for that fight at all. They don't want to commit to this Fire Giant too much because Collateral is still nearby. If they can find that pick, that'll signify the full on committal to it. Actually, okay.
Collateral. Collateral. Uh-oh, you're a little bit out of position here, son. He's going to get locked up by Salt, but immediately got the response locked down. Xenotronics looking for Zudru on the backside as well. Up goes that Thor. Did I hear him hit? No, I didn't. I was just my audio killing me. It was the pluck, the flip away, and that was crucial because that's Fire Giant going to be destroyed by Lunatik. That was perfect timing from Zudru. He did not want that Athena anywhere near that Fire Giant pit, and he played his role to perfection.
Yeah, it's rough to do. They also had the option that possibly, you know, actually, so they don't have that option. Too many apples could potentially have said, you know, I'll stroll in. Athena pops Founder Olympus on me, I'll drop her right next to it, drop the Kraken, and then look for the steal. The problem then becomes too many apples is pretty squishy on Poseidon. There's no, like, Warlock Sashes or anything like that, or Gem of Isolation for that extra block of health, so it wasn't the case of, you just stroll him in, Athena drops down, look for it. She then would have been out of position. It's like, well, I clearly am not able to do this. But like you said, good zoning coming from those guys, stopped her from getting anywhere near that one. First Fire Giant of the game will go over to Lunatik Esports. We heard earlier that these guys have scrimmed before, and that the scrim record, at least, was very much in favor of Crusaders, who have not lost a scrim to Lunatik Esports. There was also mention of a sub involved in not full rosters, which I don't remember the entire course of that conversation necessarily, but yeah, so maybe it's a lot, you know, they should just not a full roster situation. But nevertheless, Lunatik Esports have a decent lead in this game. They have Fire Giant belt across all 5 members. They have a 5,000 gold lead, 5,000 experience lead as well. They not seeing much gold in hand, not really reason to go back to base right now. And it's a nice, lovely tier 2 tower on this right lane, or is there? They just fell and collapsed and broke to pieces.
Alright, you mentioned the scrim record. I'd like to set the record straight. These two teams are leveled in the Challenger Cup, and there's a reason for that. That's because they've played consistently to the top level. Zudru's going to get taunted in. Can they find a kill off on towards him? He's so tanky. He's lurking in the water. It's the slam on the backside. Phoenix gone. Caden finds apples, and there ain't too many of those ones. There's none of them left anymore. Puka Bear is going to be the next to follow, and Jeremy is unstoppable. It's going to be Lunatik Esports cleaning up 2 members of the COD Crusaders lineup, and they're turning around. They want Phoenix Fire. It is gone. Fatal, though. Had to be careful. Caden is going deep. He wants one, but Jordan, they're going to be forced to run away here in just a second, but they've got the work done. Double Phoenix in the bank, and they're not quite done yet.
Yeah, Spectre did manage to take a tier 1 tower in that left lane, but it was a tier 1 for tier 2 and 2 Phoenixes, so not really much gained in that particular instance. Tier 2 tower will fall in the left lane as well. It's only 1 Phoenix left standing on this map, and the Titan will be completely and utterly exposed. Nothing standing between Lunatik Esports and that Titan. Well, a couple members of Crusaders, I can't say nothing. Spectre, though, about to get picked up. The moves! Barely able to sneak away from that one and survive. He'll go back to Fountain and heal himself up. Jeremy thought about the World Weaver there for just a split second, but decided instead just take the Phoenix down. What was it, maybe 30 seconds ago I said there was no gold for Lunatik Esports to spend? They're sitting on 1,500 to 3,000 gold in hand right now.
Per player.
Per player, yeah.
Per player. That's 2k on Zudru, 2.5k Caden, 2k on Jeremy, 3k on Sylvanus. Salt he wants to spend, but 1,500 is the lowest, sitting on that Medusa. Fatal hasn't had the best game, So, you know, he's looking for his windows in. He's only 1-1-6. He's just played safe. Jeremy, though. Jeremy has put this team in the position they need to be. Yeah, he's on the Neith. Yeah, he's on the OP character, but he's got no steroid, and we're at 32 minutes into the game. This is where you separate the men from the boys. The fact that he's able to land those in-hands so regularly, put out so much damage, that he is a threat, that he gets these kills, and he uses these items to their absolute perfection. His positioning is in the right spot, and he's setting it up with the Spirit Arrow, World Weavers. It's perfect. Really, really solid play from Jeremy.
Yeah. The one potential issue is going to be the fact that that Deathbringer is just about completed. Once that happens, there's not going to be any more big spikes coming out from items. Neith is already level 20. No more level scaling coming up with these extra ranks. There's going to be a small window for Crusaders when people stop scaling up quite as quickly on Lunatik Esports and they kind of claw their way back into this one. But they're definitely have to claw their way into this little by little because all three of the Phoenixes are down. There's farming and swarming down all three lanes. And they have 5 members of Lunatik Esports. No Fire Giant right now. It did just wear off a couple seconds ago. But the damage coming in, you force a fight, the Firemans can very, very easily take that Titan on all on their own. If they go for the Fire Giant now, they look for that steal. Firemen just swarm into the base and win the game for you. Crusaders cannot leave the base. Fire Giant will be all but free for those guys. It is going to be a really, really rough game for Crusaders to get themselves back into.
Rough, but the minions are pushing into their base. This is a safe farm. If Crusaders are going to find their way back in, they've got the double steroid hunter. That's what they really want. It's safe way to get themselves to continue to stack into this game. Look how tanky Puka Bear is. Look how tanky Collateral is. Those guys have health bars 1.5 miles long, 1.5 miles wide, and they ain't done building those ones up just yet. Their hunters are going to continue building up. Deathbringers are coming out for both of those guys, and then they'll get into their malice. We're getting to this 6 item point, and COD Crusaders, they've got that better 6 item point. Gold is starting to get to the point where the lead is next to nothing. The experience lead is next to nothing because there's 1 level remaining on Salt. There's 2 levels remaining on Collateral. Every other member of the game, level 20. Yep. As soon as we hit that 6 item spike, gold experience, you could be 100k to 80k. 20k gold means nothing when you're not going to be buying anything else.
You can't discount the Elisters though. That's still a decent extra chunk of damage on top of it. But it's a full. You get the little pods, like an extra 20 physical power, which is nice. Don't get me wrong. It's not a full 3k pot where you're getting that extra percentage-based damage on the top of everything. And it's like you have to get 3k. If you die, you lose it outright. So it takes a little bit longer to get to that point. Fire Giant was just taken by Lunatik Esports. That right side Phoenix is not gonna survive for but a moment, so that one will fall. Mid Phoenix respawning immediately afterwards. That one might live as long as the fight starts.
2-man taunt is going to come in from Collateral. Thor's in the skies. He's going to slam back down, but it's going to be in the middle of the team. Fatal's going to be the first one to pick up a kill. Xenotronics dies. You mentioned how important he was earlier, and that means that the Hunter is gone. What's left? It's going to be Spectre. What can he really bring to the table? He's trying to use the moves to get around and do what he can. The RC come online. Almost kept him alive from Caden, but there was also Collateral. Fatal and Caden beating on his face, and that was a little bit too much. Too many apples to try and defend the Titan, but it's 40% dropping. COD Crusaders, they might have the scrim record, but this is a tournament record, and it's going in favor of Lunatik.
It is indeed. They'll be moving themselves on to the semifinals here. Up next, you know, you can do all you want in the scrims, but when it comes to those tournament games, that's where it really matters, and they were able to pull it out to victory in this one. So I've pulled up the scoreboard here at the end of the matchup.
Look at that build from Poseidon. He went the in-hands. He was looking for the Trident to be boning.
How did he do damage-wise on that one? Yeah, he was kind of where he needed to be damage-wise. He was pretty much right in the middle of his team, but at the end of the day, I mean, he was keeping par with everyone else really as well. Lunatik Esports were in the lead. The damage numbers really weren't too much further ahead. The issue became in that fight, I don't know, I don't want to say necessarily they needed the burst damage coming out. At the same time, I'm a fan of Haste Fatale. It's a nice utility-based item. It's kind of like an extended duration sprint. And looking at that team comp on the side of Lunatik Esports, they have to be ready to deal with those slows. They have to be able to keep mobile as long as possible. Heavenly Agility is a long cooldown ability. They want that for the team. Where do you stick it? Well, it ends up on too many apples. I don't know. It's an interesting... Basically, in my mind, it would have just worked better if they had Poseidon going full-on burst in that fight. There were so many times that members of Lunatik Esports were slipping away with just a sliver of health left on the bar, that if too many apples had that extra chunk of damage, they would have been dead otherwise.
They needed to burst out. Apollo's got some really nice damage with the Across the Skies and the So Beautiful. And Ullr, he's decent as well. You know, the 1 and the 3, they actually do a decent amount of the Bladed Arrow into the hail down from the sky. I always forget the 3 in the range form. But they're also into Hide on the Nemean line. That also reflects all that auto attack damage coming in from Poseidon. The enhance getting reflected back to you when you're an AP carry. This isn't Kronos. This isn't Athena. This isn't Freya. What are you doing, man? Get back to that burst build. That's what I really wanted to see from these guys.
Well, whether that would have worked better or not, we will not know because the game has come to conclusion. Lunatik Esports will be moving on to the semifinal matchup here in just a few moments. They'll be facing off against Hi-5, so we may be jumping to that game. We may be jumping over to Resist Gaming up against Yomi. We decided that during the break. Either way, we'll be back with another game here in just a minute or two, guys, so stick around. Enjoy the music.